Warning. Aspects of Dead on Dave are over the top and meant strictly for entertainment purposes only. Don't take it too seriously and have some fun.
But ain't nobody stopping me. That's how I go when you pay for the shows and you study that pimp biology. Love for the field.
Welcome back to the channel, me mush puffs. I am your boy, your king, your lord, and most importantly, your host, Dead on Dave. It's time for another Dead on Dave Live, and it is Monday, what is it, September the 3rd, 2018. Holy Lord, is the year just swinging by. It's going too fast, I would say. My God. You got to sit down, take a second, relax, smell the roses every now and then, or as Ferris Bueller once said, you might just miss it. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to be going into the world of video games. We got things that we're going to talk about that have actual consequence to esports. We're going to talk about that, whether or not they should be in the Olympics. Could esports one day finally take its place upon the mantle of the most elite sports and sporting events in the world? It may have taken a little bit of a blow or at least a setback. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to do something I don't typically do very often, and that's talk about SJWs. Not in an actual SJW sense, other than the fact that she does show some very big SJW moves, but this is a scam or maybe just a big fuck-up situation. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get into everything that there is to do with that. But first, want to give a little bit of love to everybody who's been supporting the channel while we've been back. Just been back, third show in, and I am so happy to be back, and I can't appreciate you guys enough, dude. You guys have been here, you've been kicking ass with me, you've been a part of everything that I've been trying to do. So many of you followed me over to Twitch, and you've been in there watching the Pokemon. You've supported the brand new channel, Trash or Treasure. Hopefully you guys are enjoying that. We're almost at 100 subs on the channel already there, which is really cool. New content is coming there as well. Also, I can't thank you guys enough for going over and checking out everything that's been going on with my buddies over at Soul Crushing Radio. And not even just my buddies, I'm a part of the cast. That's my podcast as well. It's our podcast, and we go kick some ass and take some names each and every single Friday. Hopefully you guys are checking out everything at soulcrushingradio.com. But all right, let's not gild the lily. This is not a big personal story type day. We are going to take your calls, questions, comments, concerns, hopes, dreams, quips, quotes, likes, loves, and so much more. We also have the drinking perk installed today. So if you want to get a nice beer chug going on the chat, or on the channel, I should say, $15 and I will chug a beer faster than you've ever seen a guy on YouTube who's not a professional beer chugger chug one for you. But until that happens, let's get into the daily topics. And like I said, we're video game related today. I play video games every day on Twitch. I'm certainly not the caliber of what you would call a gamer of any kind, way, shape, or form, at least not competitively. I'm an entertainment guy. And honestly, the appeal for these guys who dedicate so much time to it, it's just not been for me. I don't know why. I mean, I grew up with video games. I grew up playing with them. I grew up playing them extensively. I mean, my God. I think I spent more time on video games than almost anything else. But I never had that natural skill with video games to be like exceptionally good. I was a damn good Madden player for a long time, and I've played a couple other games at a not exact competitive level, but I've been in tournaments and such like that. But so I can have the appreciation for what people want to do and bring this to the next level and everything. But there is some issues just inherently with the idea of having esports as an Olympic event. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get into what the Olympics are and all of that, because the other day, the president of the Olympic Chair Committee, essentially, Mr. Thomas Bach, sounds like a gamer to me if I've ever fucking heard one, has re-emphasized once again that gaming in its form right now, with the big all the big competitive games are all based around shooting for the most part, and he is stating once again that the Olympics cannot possibly allow these games into Olympic competition because of the fact they promote not only violence but discrimination as well. Now, the discrimination thing, he didn't really elaborate too much other than saying so-called killer games. They, from our point of view, are contradictory to the Olympic values and therefore cannot be accepted. I don't understand the discrimination part of it. I don't. I don't know if that's a shot at the fact that there's not a ton of elite level gamers that are female. I don't know if that's what he meant by that. I don't know if he meant something about the types of people who are being killed in these type of games. I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but I can at least go with the first part of it a little bit. I can see the logic of it, tiny bit. The violence part of it when it comes to video games being an Olympic event. Is a game like Fortnite or Call of Duty or any of these other major top tier shooting games where they are depicting blowing the heads off of people. Now, granted, in games like Fortnite, it's very cartoony and not threatening at all in any way, shape, or form. But should this be something that is on the Olympic stage next to, I don't know, rhythm gymnastics and all these type of things and volleyball and stuff? Eventually, I think it will be, and it should be, because like anything else, there are people who exemplify excellence at a level that should be recognized at a world competition level. And the fact is, everybody wants to represent their country. It's kind of a dream. It's a dream to be good enough at anything in this world to be able to go forth and be recognized on a global level. To crush competition all across the globe. Now, I already see people like Large Lads Charles next to competitive shooting, but there is a big difference here. There is a huge difference than just competitive shooting. They're not shooting at heads. They're not exploding heads or anything like that. And I'm not even saying that what the Olympics are trying to say is that it's promoting violence that will cause more violence, because that's not what they're saying at all. I get it from an individualized corporation standpoint, which make no fucking mistake about it. The Olympic Committee they protect it at all costs. Well, or they cover up enough things and bribe enough people where we don't actually find out what's actually going on in most events. But tomato, potato. But still, there is something to be said for, should this be something that is celebrated on a global level? I guess I can kind of understand where the mindset is. When you look at the history of the Olympics, and I think this is the weak argument, so I'm not going to be making this argument, but I know I've seen a lot of people making the argument that so many of the sports of the original Olympics and even the Olympics that we have today all have history in violence. I mean, we have combat type sports within the Olympics now. Competitive shooting was already brought up. May not be classified as the same thing because you're only shooting at targets, and sometimes you're doing it on skis and swimming across water and riding elephants bareback and shit. I don't know what a fucking tri super cathlon. I barely walk to the fucking store anymore. My God. Actually, that's not true. I've been walking a lot lately. I just wanted to turn a phrase. But you have, you got archery, you have wrestling, you have judo, which is somewhat, or jiu-jitsu and judo and all that, which is somewhat recent. I mean, judo came in 1964. You got a whole bunch of games that were brought in that some have violent histories, others don't. I mean, you got things that have come and gone like softball and table tennis. Those came in the 80s and 90s. Stuff like that. Even the triathlon came in the 2000s. So the Olympics are more than happy to bring in games when there's enough popularity, especially per population, to make it worth the while. If they don't feel that people are going to get invested into the game, then that's one thing. But to think that just having the inclusion is somehow going to bring disgrace or whatever to the Olympics, I think that's another argument to be made that I don't think has a very strong foundation to it. It just doesn't really hold a lot of water to me, because this is something that is based off of competition. And that's what we are talking about. I mean, should the fact that you're shooting virtual people really matter if you're proven to be doing so at an elite level, just like anybody else who can hold themselves on rings for long periods of times, or people who can jump extraordinarily far or run super fast? the exact same amount of preparation and time and effort goes into these type of esports that do in real life fucking sporting events. So eventually it's going to be recognized. It's just, when should it be? France is making a huge push to be able to try to get it included into, I think, the 2024 games, but that's very unlikely. This is really just an ageist thing at the end of the day. This is something where old men are sitting at the top of the board that simply don't want to let go of the last bastion of defense. And that is what this is. You may not see it, but it is very true. There is an overtaking in the world of old and new. The old has been pushed out in ideology, in manufacturing, in almost every conceivable way that we live as humanity. It's been upgraded. It's been shiny polish with a new age futuristic finish. We're seeing it more and more. The old ways are dying and people are trying to hold on to them. The Olympics is one of those bastions that still holds something to the old timey, and everybody still gets involved. It's incredible to me. It's crazy to see how many people catch Olympic fever every single year. I've never been an Olympic fan. I don't know why. It's never captivated me in such a way. I didn't give a fuck about Carrie Strung, you know, landing on one foot and, you know, the broke. I didn't give a shit. I understand why it's important, and I'm a guy who's always been heavily in sports, but it never did anything for me. I didn't feel a sense of American pride with it. I don't know why. I just never looked at it at that level. I don't know why. I think because there is some aspects of corruption that I don't like. I think whenever you have anything that's held at a global level, you'll see a lot of corruption in those things. We see it with FIFA. Soccer is incredibly corrupt anyway, so maybe that's not the most fair comparison. But we've had all these, especially right now with the American side of the Olympics. We're coming off of a period of time now where, you know, the entire U.S. gymnastics, and it seems to be even more than that, are just raping girls. I mean, my God, holy fucking shit. This seems to be a bigger problem than anything else at the moment, rather than, like, should we be including an esport that really has only been around for a short period of time. We don't know the legs that this is going to have long term. The point is, there's a lot of controversy, there's a lot of corruption and all of this stuff that is bringing disgrace upon the Olympic Committee constantly, but yet they're worried right now. They're fearful of electronic signals depicting death to non-realistic entities. That, to me, is maddening. That is what drives me crazy, and that's the whole reason why I'm talking about this today. Because there are far more things that bring disgrace or dissatisfaction or just completely besmirching what the Olympics are than electronic signals. I don't think that anybody could possibly say for a second that the people that are playing esports each and every single day are not the very best in the world at what they do. And if that's the case, and nobody's being hurt by the fact that electronic signals are being wiped off of an electronic board, then what are we talking about at the end of the day? They deserve the right to be able to fucking represent their countries just like every other athlete. The fact that it is no longer just video game competitions, the fact that we now have esports and it's being backed by major corporations, major people that are not just in regular video games, but also in actual athletics. Almost on every board of these major video game companies, or at least with the affiliations of the tournaments and stuff, you're going to find professional athletes getting involved. Why? Because real respects real, right? It's not just because all these athletes play games, but real respects real. They understand and see what these guys and girls are doing each and every single day to show that they're the best in the world. So why shouldn't they be able to represent themselves on the exact same level as every other elite fucking athlete? It doesn't make sense to me. And the fact that when you have the corruption and everything that the U.S., not just U.S., worldwide Olympics, because every country has had their fucking black marks, China, Russia over the past decade, the major world powers have all had major scandals, serious ones. There are far more things that the Olympic Committee should be worrying about rather than electronic signals depicting a death that has never been proven to be able to substantially alter people's minds to force people to kill. we're so caught up right now in this fucking public discussion over gun control and mental illness and all these things. Stuff that we let go for so long that has now created this epidemic that we simply can't fucking deal with. And nobody knows exactly how to fix it. Nobody knows how to get us back to a normal path in life. So instead, we continue to make these goddamn excuses and blame anything that we possibly can, or even exclude things from world-class events because of how it might represent and show upon the Olympic Committee. Like, somebody's gonna fucking walk into a mall and kill somebody wearing the Olympic rings around their fucking necks. No, of course not. People, if they want to commit a crime, Grand Theft Auto 5 is not going to be the catalyst to fucking make it done. The fact is, there's no good science on any of it that can possibly fucking prove that there is a correlation. There might be things that can be shown to bring out violent tendencies in people who are already sick, but that's something that's on a different level altogether. That's a personal accountability level, and if it's not personal, it should be at least with the people who are around them, if not the parents, guardians, whatever the case may be. But that has nothing to do with their decision. They're using it as a scapegoat, a red herring, something they can just fly their flag with and say, this is exactly what we're going to fucking do, and here's why. We need to protect the integrity. Protect the integrity when you're fucking stopping girls from being fucking raped by people who are supposed to be taking care of them. Protect the integrity when you can stop these judges from being biased towards other countries to help their country get a step ahead. Why don't we start there? That's where the fucking true ugliness, and where the Olympics truly have to be worried about the integrity. Not including a growing popular sport that is getting more athletes, e-athletes, every single day. More people who are watching guys in all of these gaming cliques and at all the major tournaments. And now, when it was Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire or Joe Montana or anybody else you could possibly think of that has ever been considered a sports hero, well, now you have esports hero who are eliciting the exact same type of emotions out of a new generation that simply want to be able to do the things that they see their heroes doing. And they want to do it at an Olympic level. And they absolutely should be able to do it at an Olympic level. And especially when you consider the financial ramifications of the entire situation. I mean, my God, the Olympic Committee, and not just the American Committee, is going to be paying out a lot of fucking money over the next 20, 30 years to all these victims of actual abuse. Actual abuse and actual real bad shit. I couldn't think of the word, so I had to go to bad shit because I'm just a half a retard today. But that is the reality of it. And the fact that we continue to go in these circles and blame everything arbitrarily for what is simply a mental health issue, or just a motherfucker who wants to kill other motherfuckers. It's ridiculous to me. And it really needs to stop, and somebody needs to step up. Now, the fact is, as time goes on, these old motherfuckers are going to die. It's just a reality. People get old, and then they die, and people subsequently replace that person. And now maybe the next person who comes in after this guy, maybe he's still not ready, but after he dies, what about the next one? What about the next person who comes up the line, who's my age, and then 20 years from now, they're 55, they're 60, and they're finally going to be able to be on boards of things like this. Well, we're going to have massive sweeping changes. There are going to be sports that are going to be phased out completely, and there are going to be new ways of entertaining people with whatever's popular in the time. And the fact is, that's how it's always been in the Olympics. If a sport has garnered enough popularity or participation, well, then it's been brought in. Now, it's not always been brought back out. Now, sometimes we've seen it like with softball and baseball and golf. They will be removed. And even baseball's case, brought back and removed many, many times. And probably brought back again very soon. Same thing with golf. Why shouldn't it be the same with any other thing that is gaining the exact same sort of popularity? You know, we're already calling these people e-athletes. We're already calling these esports. We're already giving them that credibility. So I think it's about time now that we elevate it to that next level. And if these people who are on top of the board can't see that, well, then we're going to have to hope that the people that come after them do. You know, that's the only hope at this point, because if these are going to be the type of weak-ass excuses that the board of the committees are going to be using, well, you really can't argue against it too much other than what I just did. But nobody is going to stand up and do the exact same impassioned speech at a fucking goddamn board committee. They're not going to have those discussions. They're going to go with the status quo. Why? Because it avoids further embarrassment. Fact is, if there wasn't a lot of, we'll call it shenanigans over the past couple of years, it's possible that this wouldn't even be a conversation right now. If we wouldn't be having the same type of gun issues that we're having, that maybe this doesn't become an issue at all. Well, almost certainly doesn't become an issue at all. But the fact that they don't want to bring any more disgrace to an upstanding and upright and all of this fucking Puritan bullshit that's not even true, it's what really pisses me off. That's why I talked about it today. So that's basically where I stand on that. I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. If you want to talk about the Olympic thing, feel free to call in at the end of the show. We're going to be taking calls right after the next topic. It's not going to be an overly long show today. It's going to be really dictated on how much you guys want to talk. If you want to talk, I'm here. If not, I'm just going to give you guys all the little shit that I have, and then I'm going to get the fuck up out of here and enjoy the rest of my night and try not to pass out, because I don't feel great. I really don't, but I'm getting through. I want to give a lot of love to one person in particular, and that is the one and only Zanta Claws. The entire show today, everything that I'm talking about, Zanta Claws research, and he deserves credit for it. So thanks a lot, man. I appreciate the research that you did. And everything that we're talking about in the next subject, because it's a very convoluted story. There's some ambiguity to it. It's a very interesting thing. We're going to talk about it, but you guys can read and watch everything on this next topic right down below. All right, it's all down there. Videos by Sid Alpha, Quartering V, Reddit. There's all kind. There's a bunch of Reddit posts and stuff. Everything's down there, and I want you guys to really go pay attention to it, because we're gonna go into a world that I typically don't dip my toes into, and that is the SJW world. And typically, because there's really no reason for it, and I'll tell you why. Commentary in itself is a form of social justice. You may not believe it. Maybe they don't always, we don't always, because I guess I'm part of the community as well. We don't always use the exact same terminology, but the fact that us policing our own is a form of social justice. You know, us exposing other people who are fucking over others is social justice. Maybe it doesn't have the exact same connotation and that word, that disgusting word sound, but it is the same thing. Now, there's different tactics, but I do feel that so many times it's just, it's a very word-mincing topic, so I don't really get into it all that often. The fact is, it is a form of social justice. Social justice is everywhere. It's not like social justice is new. Social justice is always been around. From a guy tattling on somebody else for whatever reason he may seem fit, to right now where people are losing their fucking minds over things that they could simply solve themselves by ignoring. It doesn't really matter. It's always been around. Now, the scope's different, and that's why it's more important now than ever before, because of the power that some of these people have been able to wield. But it's always nice to see when some of these power folks from the SJW ranks kind of fall and show exactly who they are, type of hypocrites, or just flat out incompetent. So with that, let's get into Zoe Quinn. Zoe Quinn is an interesting person. let's just say that. Let's start there. She is somebody who describes herself as a Gamergate survivor. She's a professional victim, just in general. She shares something that all SJWs, at least in the way that we see them now, seem to share. They have an inability to be able to see any fault in their own behavior while readily handing out fault to anyone else that they see in any way, shape, or form offensive. It's quite crazy to see it happen over and over and over, where they don't see the own fault in their own actions just by doing what they're doing, the lengths that they're going. They're becoming the fascists that they say that other people are. They're becoming the bigots, the Nazis that they're claiming everybody else is. It's pretty fucking insane. But every so often, these wonderful human beings will just fuck up. And that's exactly what Zoe Quinn has done. She's got herself in quite a situation through Kickstarter, which I will never fucking use. I'll use Patreon. I have had a, not Kickstarter, but a GoFundMe made for me when I had a minor stroke years ago. A former colleague of mine did one in my name and helped me out with some medical costs, which I did end up, I was incredibly appreciative of the entire situation. It helped me out in a massive way, but that's the closest I'll ever get to it. I'm never gonna come up with an idea and go, I'm gonna take it to the masses, promise a whole bunch of things, take their money, and hope that I am able to deliver. I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, and more than likely, I'll fucking blow your money on weed. I'm just being honest. But Zoe decided to get into Kickstarter land. She decided to do it with a kind of difficult thing to do. We see video games fail all the time through Kickstarter. There is a litany, a backlog of lists of names, of games, of developers. Some very prominent people in the industry have gone to Kickstarter and other places to be able to crowdsource money for projects that simply have never come to pass. In the video game world, which is already very difficult to be able to have on time, to be able to do with any sort of regularity, aside from Assassin's Creed, who seems to be able to put out a fucking beautiful game every goddamn year, it's hard to do. It's really difficult. And when people go on there and they start taking your money and giving you timelines and not hitting those timelines, you have to start asking yourself as to why. And unfortunately for Zoe, this situation that she's got herself into has bordered on, it's gone off of just the possibility of looking at it from just a fuck up or incompetence. I have no doubt that Zoe Quinn's incompetent. No doubt in my mind. No question do I have that Zoe is probably very incompetent. It's how I see it. Or at least she doesn't have the foresight to be able to handle a situation such as this. She promised far more than she could ever possibly fucking deliver in a video game that it seems might have just been a licensing deal. But through her actions and her own inactivity, she has brought other people, such as the person that I believe she licensed the game idea from, Chuck Tingle, into a firestorm. A firestorm of social media backlash. And it's getting uglier and uglier. So let's go through the facts of what actually happened. So back in 2016, Zoe started a Kickstarter for Kickstarted in the Butt, a Chuck Tingle digital adventure. Don't ask me who the fuck Chuck Tingle is. He's an author, he writes some books. I don't really have a fucking clue as to who this guy is, and I don't really care. What's important is enough people cared either about him, the game idea, or Zoe to go and shill out $85,448 18 months ago. 18 months ago past the delivery date. That's the more important thing. So she makes these promises for this game, which was supposed to be on PC. She has this big grandiose idea. She's going to go ahead and make this game on PC. I'm going to give it to you guys in about a year. Yay, everything is all systems go. And then radio silence started happening. Nobody was hearing updates. The updates started becoming less and less frequent. It became a lot of glad handing. A lot of the same things that Phil DeFranco has been accused of, not in the video game world, of course, but in the entertainment world. You know, not producing. For a whole goddamn year, Phil DeFranco was slammed by the community, by many in the community, for not giving just near enough updates and not producing enough, not showing enough. Now, it turned out it seems to be all working out with Philly D. He doesn't seem to have scammed anyone yet. And had he of, I don't think anybody would have been able, because of the scope of the situation, to be able to say that it was an incompetence or he simply just bit off more than he could chew and that was going to simply be it. Now, Zoe could have gotten away with this, which is simply, you know, you don't miss the fucking... You don't make the mark. You miss the entire deadline. If you're transparent and you're explaining to your backers and you're telling the people who have funded you, if you're giving them all the updates, well, then this could be resolved. And to a point, Zoe was doing that. Zoe changed the entire game, essentially. She went from a PC-based game that was going to go one direction to a fucking mobile game, which is far easier to be able to fucking do. And for the most part, the backers seemed to be okay with it. Not a lot of them really went all that hard on her for it. But then once again, the exact same thing started to happen where no information was being disseminated. And then more things started happening within Zoe's world that started drawing other folks' attention. Like, she started crying foul. She started saying that she's broke. She had to make a big apology tweet and an apology update on the fucking on the Kickstarter board and everything, saying everything was just not going to work out. She threw some people under the bus, but mainly it was, you guys are being unfair to me because I'm a woman. I'm a broke whammon. I'm a broke whammon, and you wouldn't be doing this to me if I was a man. By the way, I want to say, if you're going to call yourself a broke whammon to the people that you took, how much again? $85,448 from, and then missed your deadline date by 18 fucking months. Maybe you shouldn't say I'm a broke whammon while being on vacation in fucking Japan. Maybe not. Maybe it's not a great idea to do this type of thing. But Zoe does it, of course, because that's what Zoe does. She like most SJWs, Zoe does an action, doesn't take responsibility for the failure in the action, and then tells everybody else that they're the reason why she's catching shit for her own failure. It's classic. It's classic, but it's also sad. And in this case, she may have actually gotten herself in a little bit of trouble here. Now, there's not a lot of talk of lawsuits and such, but I think we're at the point now where you kind of have to start wondering, when are these people going to start getting taken to task? And not just Zoe. I'm talking all people who underdeliver on Kickstarter. Some people have been sued. Other people have gotten in a lot of trouble and such. I understand that. But a lot of these end up falling by the wayside because sometimes they're not a whole hell of a lot of money. And people understand the inherent risks that come with funding something like this. You're funding something based off of you're just liking somebody. You either like somebody or you like the idea. You don't know if they can actually deliver with the idea. So there is some personal accountability here, especially with somebody like Zoe, who doesn't seem like she's really shown the ability to be able to do something like this. But that doesn't mean that you should be ripped off. And it doesn't mean that you should lose your money from it. So the question really becomes, and I don't want to get too much into all the specifics of every situation that has happened within it, because I think there has been a lot of other people who have covered it far better than I possibly can. And again, I highly recommend you go down below and you check out those links from Sid Alf, Quartering V, and the Reddit posts especially. You see all the evidence that's been mounted, because the question now becomes, is she scamming her people? Or is she incompetent? Because there is a difference. Now, let's get into what a scam actually is for this type of situation. For it to be a scam, she has to go into the situation trying to deceive the people she's taking money from. That is a scam, providing something that you never intended to deliver on in hopes to just take the money and run. Showing something that's in my hand that's just an optical illusion, and then quickly taking it away before anybody can see that I'm full of shit. That's a scam. What's not necessarily a scam is when you promise something legitimately, you start working on something legitimately, you license something legitimately, and all these situations happen, and then you're simply unable to deliver. Now, the fact that people are calling Zoe a scam artist is really her own fault. She has absolutely no one to blame but herself, because had she been transparent, Had she had not made some of these claims and blamed everybody else and started attacking all the fucking people around her because she's just a broke woman who can't possibly afford anything anymore because she's so broke, yet she's still got the money to be able to fucking take a vacation to Japan. Had she had not done these things, more than likely this situation would die off and she would just be a shitty business person. But now, because she's allowed this thing to fester, she's allowed the situation to grow a gigantic fucking scab on it, now she has to deal with the scam label and possible lawsuits and a lot of things that could have been avoided if her ideology wouldn't have gotten in the way. And that is where I really want to hit on, because it's the ideology that's the problem. It's this thought process that no matter what you do, it's somebody else's fault always. People are getting tired of this. I think people are getting more tired of that mindset than almost any other thing that you could possibly bring up at this point. Nobody wants to constantly look around and just victim blame, victim blame, victim blah 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 blah. I'm such a victim. Oh my God, it's all your guys' fault. I don't care that I promised something that I couldn't deliver. No, that doesn't matter. I'm a whammon. I'm a broke wham. It's ridiculous to me. It's the ideology that's failing Zoe in this situation, because this was an easy one to at least get out of without being called a scam artist. Now, there was going to be some people who were going to say she was swindling regardless. There was going to be people out there who said there's no other way that this could have been looked at other than she was trying to deceive. But I think if you look at it without all the little extra things that ended up coming out as reactionary things, it seems to be a case of somebody over-promising, under-delivering. Something that happens all the time on Kickstarter, and it's typically not a huge deal. But when hypocrisy is involved, when this entitlement is involved, it changes the scope completely. It changes the narrative, because you're no longer just some victim. You're someone who's crying victim, who is victimizing others. Her little pity-ass apology, where she apologizes for not being able to get the game out and all this blah, 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 not even addressing the fact that she completely changed the project after already getting $85,000. And I want to hit something that Zanta said earlier. He said that he was able to make this virtually the exact same type of game through like PowerPoint. You know, it's a click a button type of game. I know a lot of people who are making games in their free time that are mobile games, good-looking mobile games. It's not all. It doesn't take $85,000 fucking dollars, unless the $85,000 were simply for the licensing fee to this guy Tingle. Now that's a completely different thing together, because you got to be thinking Tingle's involved, right? He has to be. He's got to know everything. He's got to be getting some of that money, right? Well, according to him, no, that's not the case. Now, there are some conflicting reports on whether he has said in the past that he is actually did have something to do with the video game development, but from all that you can see that makes the most sense, it seems like this was a licensing play. She went to the guy that she was a fan of, said, can I make a video game based around your series? He says yes, pay me X amount of dollars. She said, can we do it on a contingency where after we make the sales, I will pay you the money? He agrees to this. That's the end of his involvement, it seems. That's it. The complete end of the involvement. And there's nothing else to be said about him. She didn't do a very good job of being able to protect him. She didn't do a very good job of being able to explain her own actions. She's just done a piss poor job of managing it. But again, until she does this fucking shit where she's using her ideology to just muddy the water so much, it's not a scam yet. But she has behavior that makes it look like a scam. The deflecting, the saying that it's not my fault that you guys are making a big fucking deal out of this because I'm a woman developer. Now you're starting to seem like you're doing something shady, especially when you're doing it while claiming you're broke while being in Japan. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And it's the reason why there's all these accusations that are coming about. So, really just comes down to perception. What do you believe? Do you believe that Zoe Quinn is deliberately trying to hurt people and take their money? I personally don't. Doesn't matter because perception is so easy to alter when you're being SJW cuntbag. When you're pissing everybody off, no one wants to give you the benefit of the doubt. Just like when you're an asshole and you're right, nobody wants to give you the satisfaction. Thank you, Rick and Morty. Something that has been said over and over, but you said it beautifully there. Nobody wants to give you the satisfaction. So nobody wants to give you the out that almost anybody else would get in this situation because they want to nail you because you're a cunt. Because you have done this to other people in the past. When you cause pain and damage and you refuse to take any sort of responsibility for any of the situations that you're a part of, well, then you're going to have to deal with what comes at the end of it. Thank you, Ricochet, for your $5. Bitch, I'm a cow. Moo. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's do a hat change. I'll tell you what, we'll do the beer chug. 10 more bucks. We'll do it like that today. We'll let it all come together for if it adds up to 15 bucks by the end of the show, we'll go ahead and we'll chug a beer on the way out, whatever the case may be. If we have more, we'll do more than one. Just all depends on you guys. 10 bucks away from a beer chug. That's about all I have on Zoe Quinn. That's about all I have on the Olympics. Really, now the show goes to you guys. And holy fuck, I just talked for 41 minutes and I don't think I took more than 7 breaths the whole time. For someone who wasn't feeling very good, I certainly was able to goddamn yammer on for a long fucking time. Holy Lord. Let's look at the chat for a few minutes while I'm directing you guys to get yo punk asses into the Discord. I want to hear from you. I want to know what love is. That's a different song. I want you guys to be up in there and talk to me. Tell me what's going on with it. Tell me a story. Talk about the topics that we've already gotten into. Or simply just say, what up, dude? Actually, don't call me and say, what up, dude. I will hang up on you quickly. Let's go ahead and look at the chat here. Wild person. I'm a horse. Nice. Red comment, man. Dave, what do you think about the bear trade? Love it. Love it. I'm actually going to do a little bit of a thing on that tomorrow because I don't have a lot for tomorrow already lined up. So I'm going to do a variety show. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics from different genres. And the bear trade is going to be one of the things I'm going to talk about. So we'll get into that. Big E, I feel like she's trying to pull an Anita Sarkeesian and get a shit ton of people to donate to her and never finish her product. We still haven't finished game Tropes versus Women. Yeah, and that's the thing. We've already had other prominent SJWs and Gamergate survivors and all this shit, or Gamergate advocates, to that have already failed. This isn't even the first time, and nobody even. And that's the thing. I don't remember Anita doing the exact same thing, going on the attack and blaming everybody else for the backlash. It seemed like she kind of accepted it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on that, because I'm not up to date on that situation, but I don't remember the same type of backlash because she wasn't doing the exact same sort of things, which is surprising because it is kind of Anita's card. I mean, it really, Zoe has taken a lot of plays out of the Anita Sarkeesian playbook here. But, you know, it is what it is, I guess, at the end of the day. Let me go to a Wounded Warrior hat. So, I don't know. William Wonder Spoon, I could see Rocket League, but not shooters. Now, why? What's the difference? You know, I mean, like, we could talk about that for a second. I think that's important with the Olympics. They didn't really address whether or not games like Madden, games like Rocket League, non-violent games, they didn't really address whether those games would be allowed in the Olympics, because once you open the door to all esports, well, then you have to open all the doors to esports, right? No, you really don't. That's the thing, because let's look back at the history of fucking the Olympics for a second. The original modern Olympics in 1896, modern Olympics featured these sports: athletics, cycling, fencing, gymnastics, shooting, swimming, tennis, weightlifting, and wrestling. And then from there, it has opened up a whole bunch of sub-genres within those categories. So you open it up. So they could easily create the esports Olympic event and simply have it to a certain select amount of games. Let's say Rocket League. Let's say maybe a game like Splatoon. It's a shooting game that doesn't have violence, where people aren't dying. It's paintballs, right? It's just Splatoon. It's just paint. Not a big deal. But that's not being discussed because they're taking this like it's an all or nothing situation. Although in history, it's never been an all or nothing situation. It's been an all or nothing at time, and then the door gets opened up and allow subsections into it, like women weren't allowed in all the Olympic events, and then ultimately over time they'd be allowed in. We saw varying degrees in gymnastics, where there'd be different events in there. Swimming, the same thing. You allow more sports within the sport. And that's how this could happen. There's no reason why esports can't be on the map in 2024 or even in 2020. I know it's a little bit soon for that one, but 2024 certainly. You can have some sort of esports appearance, and then over time, with maybe, I don't know, all the electronics are implanted in our brains by then that doesn't allow us to shoot people in real life, well, then you can kill anyone you want virtually, right? It won't even matter anymore. I don't know. Biggie, you literally explode into ink. That's not violence. That's a very cartoonish way. Jeff Huppin, they don't want esports because China would hack everything, just like how the Russians dope on everything. Well, the Russians and the Chinese have cheated in many, many sports for a lot of fucking years, so that's not a big deal. Roxy Hart, what's going on? And Huffman, that speaks to my point that I was making earlier. There's so many other things that the Olympic Committee should be focusing on. We just had the entire women's gymnastics team raped for years. They don't care. They're not talking about that. They're talking about fucking whether or not a digital fucking death should be displayed on an Olympic fucking level. It's insanity. There are deeper issues that the goddamn committee should be more focused on to be protecting the integrity of the Olympics than whether or not somebody gets shot on a screen. It really is it's about as strawman as it gets when there's already other fucking problems that need to be addressed. Night Owl Productions, trampoline is an Olympic. Yes, it is. Horse riding, aka equestrian dressage, is the Olympics. Isn't not needed. Well, now look, we don't need to get into what sports need to be taken out of the Olympics. It's not like there's some sort of limit on how many sports. They can always change the rules. More sports, the better. People get into the Olympics no matter what, so whatever gets involved. People care about curling once every 4 fucking years, for Christ's sake. Who the shit gives a goddamn cunt fart about curling? Every 4 years, the whole goddamn world wants to curl. They get out on... I see assholes on the ice with stupid fucking brooms pushing rocks. What the fuck am I watching? But it happens every 4 years like clockwork. Here's a reality that most don't want to admit to. Once esports are allowed in the Olympics, more than likely, it's going to take precedent almost over every other Olympic event. It'll instantly become one of the most popular sensations on the planet. If we can have gamers, if we as gamers ourselves can see gamers, people who are our contemporaries, who are our colleagues, we see them getting medals, we're legitimized in a way that I don't think the old guard, whether it be the media, whether it just be the old fucking men in the boardroom, whatever the case may be, they are not ready for that legitimacy. They don't want it, they don't want to acknowledge it, and they're certainly not going to give it up fucking easily. So that's the way I'm looking at it there. So it's really fucking insane. Curling is so Canadian. Yeah, that's not a good thing either. Danny, I care about it. Well, good for you. Huffman, US won gold. I don't give a fuck about curling, but us won. Exactly. And the sport will stick around. So, you know, it's fucking crazy. The legitimacy does scare them, there's no question. Roxy says, I haven't been here from the start, but my spontaneous response is that I don't think it fits in the Olympics. Like, esports is cool, but isn't the Olympics a battle of body, strength, and agility? Not necessarily. I mean, there's been all kinds of things in the Olympics over the years that... curling, you really want to say curling is a representation of body strength and agility? I don't know. I don't know. Tug of war was once a fucking Olympic event. Now, granted, that's a lot of body strength and agility, but I don't think it necessarily fucking cuts out esports because you don't have to be physical with it. I think chess is a sport. I think a sport is really defined as anything that is one person against another in a competition. I think certain things that we consider sports, I wouldn't even consider a sport. Like golf, it's a hobby to me. There's no defense to be played. You're only playing against yourself. You're not really playing against anybody else. Nobody else can affect your score, and that's it. In esports, other people can affect your performance. They can defend. They can shoot. So it's an actual game of skill, of contest. And that's what the spirit of the Olympics should be. It's that spirit. It's that wanting to be the best, to destroy your enemy, to show that your country, that your team is superior. Now, regardless of how that's brought in, whatever the medium is for that, if there is an elite level to be brought on an international stage, why the fuck not take advantage of it? Maybe we can make the argument that it's a little too soon, but I don't know. I think it's a long time. That's just me. All right, let's go ahead and get up everybody into the Discord and let's start taking calls. We're going to start with, I saw Charles in there first. We're going to start with him. Charles, you're live with Dead on Dave. What do you got, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. Hold on. Danny says, I can affect your score in golf if I sneeze really loud. And then you'll get kicked out and banned from the event forever. And Tiger Woods might hit you in the head with a golf ball. And his wife will come and break his fucking car again with a golf club because he's going to think that you're having sex with Tiger Woods because Tiger Woods is a sex addict. Danny, do you really want to bring this whole rigmarole in there? Yeah, you can sneeze. You're also going to be kicked. Oh, can't do that. That's wrong. Anyway, what's up, Charles? What do you got for me, man?
Just on the topic of esports and the Olympics
Yeah.
and stuff. I think there's definitely a place for it, but I don't think it's yet.
Yeah.
I don't think it's welcome in 2020 or even 2024.
Oh, 2020 definitely not. 2024, France is really pushing for it. Well, 2020 couldn't happen anyway because there's not enough time to organize it. But 2024, I don't see the reason why not. I mean, they're not going on this from a matter of time. They're using the violence. They're not even saying it's not a sport. They're acknowledging it as a sport. They're saying it's the violence that's the issue.
Well, again, like you said, there are other games that aren't violent.
Right.
So if you say violence is the issue, then of course other games can come in.
Yeah.
But the main reason I don't think 2024 is because you have to think they're going to have to announce that esports will be in the next Olympics the 4 years prior.
Right.
I don't think it will be announced by 2020. I don't think 2020 will be the time they'll say, oh yeah, next time, yeah, esport.
Probably not. France is pushing hard for it, though. France is pushing really hard for it.
I'm glad. I'm hoping good to get through. I don't think now is the time. I think 10 years time, sure. 100%.
I'm gonna word quibble with you just a little bit. I think now is the acceptable time to be able to bring it in as a sport, but I agree with you that it will be. It's not the time where it will yet. I think it's ready to be. I think there's no, if they wanted to pass it and bring it into the Olympics, I don't think there's any problem with it. I think it would be very celebrated and a lot of people would be very happy. There wouldn't be a lot of backlash. Of course, there would be some curmudgeons out there that are going to say, oh, the violence, the violence, the violence. But once you guys accept it and you put it in there and you allow it to be a sport, then the fucking wheels, we're off the fucking tracks then, man. You know, we're going down the road at 150 miles an hour and it will be a juggernaut, man. This is, to me, this is not about violence. This is not about anything else. This is about the old guard not wanting to legitimize gaming as a real sport on an international level. They won't use those words, but that, to me, is what's actually happening.
I agree with you for the most part there, but I disagree with you on the fact that I don't think it's ready yet. I don't think it's good to go.
In what way?
There's so much imbalance across a lot of... Just as an example, I've been playing League of Legends a lot lately. Mm-hmm. I love playing League of Legends, but there are some characters in that game that are just stronger than others, and that's not an opinion, that's just a fact. Well, I couldn't think of any off the top of my head.
That's I don't know if that's a big problem. I mean...
But the issue I have with that is that obviously something like that wouldn't be esports, I suppose, if it was considered to be too...
Right, that can be easily taken care of, right. You either nerf it or you ban it from international competition. That's easy, yeah.
But that's another thing, is it's such a new and quickly fluctuating field. Mm-hmm. Every couple of months or so, there's huge changes in all of these games.
Right.
There's a new character release, there's a new old character's been reworked. There's something happens. There's edits.
Sure.
There's changes. There's I don't know what the word is, but the issue I have with that is, what if that happens a month before the Olympics takes place?
It doesn't matter.
And there's a guy whose
I'll tell you exactly why it doesn't matter.
Olympian who can no longer compete because his favorite character's gone.
I'll tell you exactly why it doesn't matter. Because every Olympic sport in the history of the Olympics have something called rule sets. And you could set rule sets, and then that is what everybody has to adhere to. Once you set the standardized set of rules for a game within the Olympics, that is what they fucking have to abide by. Whatever is agreed upon by whatever committee is going to oversee this. So no other characters or anything else will even be considered, because this is how the game will be locked in to be played at the international level. If they agree upon that for a year's time, 2 years' time, whatever the case may be, whatever game, and it's going to be individualized for whatever game we're talking about. Every game is going to have its own set of agreed upon rules. That's just like it is in the Olympics now. With every sub-sport, with everything, like they play different rules in the Olympics in hockey and basketball that they do at the NBA and NHL level. This is nothing new. They could do the exact same thing and adapt it to make it work for international competition. And then the players who want to represent their country and themselves at the world level have to play within those rules. There's nothing wrong with that. That's an easy workaround.
Another thing is that, there's new games coming out all the time. Mm-hmm. Do we add all the ones that seem appropriate, or do we stick to some? Or how long does it take for new things to be coming in? I just think at the moment it's too much, as I say, too much of a new and easily malleable field at the moment.
I think it's too easy. It's too easy to take care of. The reality is the popularity of esports right now is astronomical. We have people who are playing at elite levels like we have never seen before in gaming. People are doing historic things within the gaming field that maybe it's time it should be recognized at an international level. I don't think that waiting 10 years is going to change anything, because the exact same hurdles and obstacles, because in 10 years time there's still going to be new games coming out, there's still going to be new advancements coming out. Virtual reality is going to be that's going to be a much different hurdle than anything else.
I'm looking forward to some virtual reality.
Let's not even get in that will be really meta, right? Let's do a virtual, like, what if they did virtual Olympics in the Olympics? How fucking amazing would that be? How incredible, or even better, what if we played like the Nintendo Olympics at the Olympics, and you had to get the fucking trackpad out and go back and forth really, really fucking fast? I'd like, just the meta-ness of that would be incredible. I want that just for the fucking laughs. That would be awesome. But my point is, and going back to it, is the problems that exist now for gaming are going to be the same in 10 years. There's always going to be new advancements. So it doesn't seem like there's anything really standing in the way from just coming upon agreed sets for whatever games are going to be involved and going forward. The population's ready for it. There are Ninja. You don't think people like Ninja, or maybe not him specifically, because maybe he couldn't be able to compete when he's 24, when the next Olympics would be coming around for this to be eligible. But you don't think that there are people who are watching Ninja who are showing the innate ability to be able to do the things that people like him and Shroud and all these guys are able to do? Don't you think they're going to want to represent at the international level like any other athlete, e-athlete, whatever the case may be?
Absolutely.
I think it's time.
I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I'd like for it to happen. I think it's a fantastic thing.
Did I miss a donation?
Yeah, £25 from someone.
£25? Someone said, I didn't even hear
$25,
it.
sorry.
25. Oh, 25. I was like, oh, well, still, that's nothing to sneeze at. I'm so sorry I missed it. I did not hear it. Maybe I was just far too in a goddamn zone there. I have no idea. I'm basically feverish at this point. I'm pretty sure I'm going to pass out, so we'll see what happens. Thank you very much for the donation.
You should get some rest.
Yeah, I desperately need some rest. Let me give some love to this donation real quick, and then I'll get you out of here. Shy donated $25. I really missed the Game of Thrones reviews, Dave. They're coming back when Game of Thrones returns. I've already talked to Lord Vega. They're coming back. He's going to talk to Clown, and we're going to see if we can get the rematch going with the Dolan Dark Game of Thrones questions. That's right. Dolan Dark wrote questions for Game of Thrones for me, Vega, and Clown like a year ago, and hopefully we'll get to use them someday. It's going to happen. Thank you so much for the donation. I'm going to drink a beer for you, even though you didn't ask for it. I'm going to do it the fuck anyway.
Sure.
That's right. Sure. Charles, anything else before I get you out of here?
No, it's just a wrap up. I'd like for it to happen, and it could happen.
Yeah.
I just don't think it will yet.
Oh, it's definitely not happening yet. I mean, they just ruled on it. It's not happening.
And anytime soon, shall we say, next 4 to 8 years, I don't think it'll be happening by then. I'd like for it to. I think it's a great idea, but yeah.
Well, we'll see. Only time will tell. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate your view on it.
Yeah, I appreciate talking to you.
Have yourself a good night, Charles.
You too. Get some rest.
I will eventually. I'll rest when I'm dead. I'll talk to you later, man.
See you later.
All right, let's bring in the guy who did all the research for today. The guy that I really, really have to thank for even having a show. And I think this has been a kick-ass show, by the way. I think we've had some really good topics. And the guy to thank for it is the guy who's on with us right now. The one, the only, Zanta Claws. What's up, pal?
Yo, what's up, dude?
What you got for us?
Well, being serious, though, I was actually able to create that game or a copy of it in PowerPoint.
Were you really?
Yeah, because basically all it is, it gives you two options. You click a button and then a video plays. And you can do that in PowerPoint, simply. You just need about 20-odd slides. That's
so
it.
Where do you stand on this entire... Obviously, you did more research into this than I did. You know a little bit more about it than I do. I think I did a pretty good job of covering. Did I get anything explicitly or inherently wrong? Correct me on anything that I may have messed up, and what's your opinion on it?
I don't... Nothing that I realized that you messed up on.
Oh, right.
Yay. Yeah, but my opinion on it is it's borderline scam, if nothing else is done about it, and because I'm a woman excuse, it's getting fucking old.
Without all the woman stuff, though, do you think this could have just been written off as just incompetence and she just fucked up and that would have really been the end of it? Or do you think it's her behavior, like I do? I believe it's her behavior that has really brought on this whole talk of being a scam, because I don't see it as a scam on face value. I don't. Yeah. It's her actions that make it look like a scam. She starts getting shifty when she starts deflecting blame everywhere. Do you agree with that, or do you see something else? I'm going to check this, by the way.
All right. I agree with that. And the fact that she says, I'm broke, and she's trying to start up a second Kickstarter campaign while on holiday in Japan.
Right.
I mean, is that what she blew a lot of the money off, just traveling the world?
No.
Because I've heard from looking around that she has been traveling the world a lot.
Well, she's probably independently wealthy at this point. You know, I don't think, look, I use the Japan thing as a way of really highlighting the way people are going to see it. But even that is manipulation on my part and anybody else's, because the reality is those aren't, there's no direct connection. We can't prove that she used that $85,000 to go on vacation. We can't prove it. She probably has the money to be able to go on these, but it doesn't look good. And that's the point. It doesn't pass the optic test. It looks bad.
Yeah, it does look bad. And the fact that the game is so simple, if you were to, let's say she hired all the actors, she hired the cameras and stuff like that, you probably wouldn't need more than $1,000.
Right.
To do what she did.
Right.
You pay people $20-30 an hour, the actors.
Yeah.
You hire all the cameras, you get all these set and everything set up, and then just the background programming, which is very simple.
Right.
You're looking at about 1,000, maybe a maximum 10,000, depending on how much the
voice actors still get paid shit. Like voice actors still get paid absolute garbage. They got a little bit of a raise after that last strike they had, but they still don't get paid all that fucking well.
Oh no, they don't, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
it's gonna be interesting. Let me ask you one thing I want to clarify with before I get you out of here is what exactly is this Tingle guy's involvement? That's the one thing I have not been able to definitively be able to see. Is he working with her? Did he have anything to do with the game development? Or is this just what I think it is and what I've seen it to be as just a licensing thing? Like she went to him as a fan, said, I want to be able to make a game based around your series. I'll throw you X amount of dollars after the game has been released if we sell X amount of copies. And that's what he agreed to. Because he says he got no money from her yet. Is that the reality, or is there more business dealings and he is on the hook with this as well?
I think it is a licensing thing. She probably went to him and went, okay, this is what I want to do with your series.
Yeah.
Do I have permission from you to do this? And do you want me to pay for it in advance? Or because that could be something as to why gone with the 85 grand. It depends on how much Tingle licensed it for, because some licensees, they want upfront payment.
Right. Yeah. Most of the time, that's the way it's supposed to be. You know, you have something that's worth value. Yeah. And then you can get royalties.
You get royalties after that. In the negotiations, if some people, they can take anything from 10 to 20% profits.
Right. Right. And it's whatever you agree upon. And that seems to be the deal that they went with, is that there would be money given to him after. Well, but the funny thing is, in the tweet, he used big money. He used the word big money. He didn't say money. He said big money. So that, to me, says she's already given him something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's involved in the production. So, again, I don't think that he has anything to do with it, and I really do. I'm glad that she at least said, stop harassing him, because that was the right thing to do there.
Yeah, that was the right thing to do there, definitely.
There you go. All right. Anything else for you, Mr. Zanta?
I think the esports story.
Yep.
I think esports is at that level.
I do too.
Because you look at games like Overwatch, the Overwatch League. Sometimes you'll get thousands upon thousands of people watching, and it would be a great business move for the Olympics.
It will quickly become. I'm telling you, man. If that becomes if esports go into the Olympics, esports is the #1 sport on the planet overnight.
Yeah,
overnight,
definitely, because it's going to bring in a whole new audience to the Olympics.
Right.
Because not every gamer is into sports and stuff like that, so they may not watch it.
Right.
But if there's something going on there that they're interested in, like gaming or specific games, it's going to bring in a huge mass following.
Yeah.
And it's only going to help them with their numbers, and it's just a good business move.
And the logistics of this is so less than like basketball or hockey. I mean, Ninja, on his own, essentially, organized an event at a stadium in Las Vegas, a fucking indoor, massive, multiple tens of thousands of fucking people, and he did it in months. I want to say he did it in like 2 fucking months. He organized this thing, maybe even less than that.
Yeah, it was about 2 months, roughly.
You know, it's pretty fucking crazy. So this can be done logistically, so that's not an excuse. I think it really just comes down to legitimacy. They don't want to legitimize esports.
Yeah, which is a shame, really, because even places like ESPN, they've now got their own esports thing. Red Bull have their own esports team.
Everybody does. Everybody does. They're all getting involved because they see it's the future. I don't know.
And if the game developers get involved as well, you'll have like Blizzard, and if they partner with Twitch, for example.
Oh, it's over.
Because Blizzard are partnered with Twitch currently.
There's money to be made here. And that's the thing that really confuses me. Typically, when there's this much money to be made, old white men fucking just go to this, man. Right. But when
I don't necessarily get it. But
right.
Jump on it.
They do, man. They jump on it fast and hard, man, just like a woman. I'm just kidding. No, but you know what I mean? It's just like they go really fast on this because they see the opportunity. The only time when they won't is when something threatens their legacy or their perceived stature. Because it all comes down to ego at the end, and they do not want these kids that are just slacker gamers. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, hell, maybe even 10 years ago, gamers were still basically left in the basement. And now we're out of the basement. So,
and everybody plays again.
That's right.
Of any sort, even on mobile and other places as well.
Right.
So,
all right, let me get some other callers, my friend.
Yeah. Of course, dude.
Tell the kids where they can find you, Zanta.
You can find me at Zanta Claws YT on Twitter, and you can see me typing in the chat. I'm going to be doing live streams and stuff like that on YouTube or Twitch quite soon. So
go check them out. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it, Cal. Have a good night.
All right, see you, dude.
Talk to you later, baby. I said buddy, not baby. All right, let's go ahead, and we're going to go right down the list here. I see you guys in the chat. We're going to keep getting those callers in, keep filing on in, and we're going to get out of here as soon as we're done with them. Let's bring in Everyone Lies. You're live with Dead on Dave. What do you got?
What are you trying to do? I thought you were trying to be non-controversial lately.
I'm not. What? What am I doing?
You're going to have people up in arms here.
I know, right? Okay. I went at Zoe. I know.
Actually, I was going to say, like, imagine you spend your entire... You know how long you practice and prepare for the Olympics.
Right.
Imagine you spent the last like 4 years of your life doing nothing but curling. You want to take that away from them?
No, I don't want to take it away from them. If people want to watch people do curling, I'm just saying for me, it's fucking retarded. But I get it that people get into it. That's perfectly fine. But it's like we have things like curling that are in, but we don't have something that is becoming so popular and there's so much money. I don't know. I think both can be there.
I think there's a more complicated thing to look into it with. Just more simply the fact that you can't really... Okay, let's say you were going to add gaming to the Olympics. Which ones would you pick?
Well, I mean, that's stuff that's agreed upon. You got to remember, at the international level, rules differ from the big sports all the time. There's different rules that are played in basketball, hockey, when baseball was being played, same fucking thing there. They're always changing rules. That you have an agreed upon international standard. So that would have to happen. There's a committee that gets involved and we agree upon what games are going to be in the Olympics. Simple as that. Too easy.
Sure. I just think there's too many different options, and I think
but they're not citing that though. But that's not what they're citing. They're citing violence is the reason for keeping them out. You know, maybe there'd be a better argument if they were citing the logistics or things like that. Maybe we'd have something to talk about. But if they did that, they'd also have to put a timeline. They'd have to give a timeline to when the conversations would progress. By saying we're not going to, we don't feel that these shooter games instill Olympic values, that's a cop-out. That's a non-argument. That is a way to not have a conversation. Violence. It's not violence. It's fucking digital violence. Nobody's getting hurt. It's a bullshit excuse to not have a conversation. That's all it is.
No, and that's definitely not a good reason. But I don't know if that's their complete reasoning, because I think you have to look at it as to, if they were going to say yes, then there's a lot that would have to go into it to get ready for it.
I'm just telling you what they're citing. They don't want to have that conversation. What they're citing, what the president of the committee just said, was violence is what's keeping esports, certain esports, out of the Olympics. And that's not a conversation. That is only there to avoid having a conversation. It's a cop-out.
And I mean, if that is playing into it, that's the fault of a lot of what the media has done over the years, is turned into like gamers end up doing this and that, and they're, I guess the Gamergate thing and the violence thing.
Right. Boxing's an Olympic event. Boxing, the sport where people punch each other in the fucking head repeatedly, is in the Olympics. And I think it always has been. It has been for a very long time. That's okay. That's accepted. Why? Because it's a paradigm that everyone's comfortable with. It's not a new idea. It doesn't threaten anything. But to allow something that is always been known as like a slacker thing to do, a in the basement, geeky, nerdy thing, a nerdy culture. They don't want to legitimize it by putting it on an international scale. Violence is already in the Olympics. It's already there. So again, all I can say is what they're citing as the reason is a bullshit reason. It's because they don't want to have a conversation. They don't want to get into the logistics. They don't want to do it because it's going to lead to legitimacy for something they don't want legitimized.
I think there's room to do it, but I think you almost have so many different games that you could almost have its own Olympics.
Sure, but I mean, all you got to do is cut it down to 4 or 5 games. It's not very hard. I can rattle them off the top of my motherfucking head. Right now, if you're going to start an Olympics, the games that you would choose would be things like, maybe not Call of Duty because of how much it's fallen off over the years, but depending on how this new one's going to fucking do, Call of Duty would be something that I think most people would be accepting to be into an esport for the Olympics. Fortnite, possibly. Any of the Battle Royale games, really. And if you want to get into deeper than that, like games like Smite or League of Legends, stuff like that could easily be put in as well. But you're going to have to agree upon which games are going to go in by some sort of committee. But that conversation needs to happen. But as long as they're saying that it's violence is what's going to keep these games out, that conversation can never happen, which I think is the whole point.
That's something they have to address, not only just with the Olympic committees. I think a lot in the media has to look into that better. And I think a lot of psychology, even different classes I took in psychology still were citing different studies on video game violence. And I'm just like, this...
There's nothing there.
You know, this seems so out of date.
There's nothing definitive. There's never been anything definitive. When Jack fucking, what's his asshole, that lawyer from the 90s who's now fucking disgraced and I believe disbarred now, when they were leading all these fucking charges against violence in video games in the 90s and the early 2000s, nothing came from it because there's no hard science on any of it that what you see on a screen will fucking impact your life if you're not already mentally fucking ill. If you're mentally ill, then we're not talking about that because that's a different conversation. So, you know, it is what it is, you know, and we'll see how it ends up going. But to me, this seems as simple as people who are an establishment not wanting to give a piece to something that has been viewed as a subculture for so long. And because they don't want to adhere to one simple fucking truth. The geek have inherited the earth, my friend. That's the reality.
I think a lot of it too is people really don't think a lot of times. They don't really want to research it again and look into it again. You have different studies and you go, well, okay, I'm just going to teach the next group this, the next group this, the next group and this. And you kind of keep the same narrative that you had before. And then when is it going to change? Because then you get the new group in there is like, hey, let's research this. I think there might be some more that needs said about it. You're fighting all these other people that have been writing papers and don't want their papers taken out of big important books because, well, they were trained that way. So why would they want all that stuff, all the research they've done to be thrown out?
I don't know. Let me address something that was said in the chat. I don't know if we really need it to be in the Olympics, though. Just watch ESL. No sport needs to be in the Olympics. Every sport that has been in the Olympics have gotten there because either it's an incredible feat of skill and athleticism that needs to be displayed, or sportsmanship, or fucking or just sport in general, like that competition needs to be displayed, or it's become so popular that it can no longer be avoided and excluded as a sport. Maybe you can't make the argument or you can't get to the mindset that video games are an elite level type of competition, but there's no question that it's popular enough to be represented on the international level. I get that there are other competitions, but there is nothing, and I'm not even an Olympic fan, by the way. I don't even like the Olympics, but there is nothing on this planet quite like standing on a podium in front of the world that's watching you, holding your fucking country's flag, getting a gold medal placed around your neck. There's nothing else like it. Even in other competitions that are on the lesser level, this is the apex. And no matter what's going on in the world, the Olympics has transcended wars. It's transcended disaster. It's transcended everything. It's the most beautiful configuration of sport at an international level in the history of our planet. It unites us on a fucking level that nothing else does. The world stops every 2 years. And every 4 years at the winter or the winter, you know, every 2 years there's a winter and then there's a summer, you know what I mean? So essentially every 2 years, the world stops for these events. More summer than the winter, admittedly, but still, you follow what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
But all right, anything else? Final thoughts? I want to get some other colors before I can get up out of here and pass out.
No, maybe sometime I'll talk more about the Zoe Quinn thing. I think you ended up going on a list of stuff. You talk about her on the internet. She was one of the bigger reasons Gamergate happened. So I think
right.
I'll just say that so many people fought for her. Maybe she just expects them to again.
Even when she's dead wrong.
Yeah.
That's entitlement right there, my friend. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, they gave her that last time, so, I mean...
Well, you're an investigator extraordinaire. Did you see anything that I made a mistake on in there in that story? Because, you know, it's just, there's a lot of ambiguity to the story. There's no way to prove it 100% that it was a scam, because I believe you have to be able to prove the intention to deceive for it to be a scam, and I don't think you can prove that.
I'd have to look into it more and see what has been given to people, but like you said, there is other examples of that happening, so
Right.
you can't really completely just say it's a scam.
Sure.
I mean,
But it's her
But-
behavior that's prompting those cries of scam. You know, it's,
at the very least, she bit off more than she could chew. She thought she could handle putting this game out by herself, and she's in over her head, and people are going to know next time before they give her their money. So
Yep.
that's a real thing. But it's not her first game she's made, though. I don't know what
it's not.
happened with this one, but
Just didn't work. She changed the entire scope of the game halfway through the process. Halfway through the project, she went from a PC game to a fucking mobile game. That's a big distinction. And it certainly is not an $85,000 investment anymore. And she got away with it. They didn't even care when she did it. They were okay with it. But then she still couldn't even produce a mobile game. I'm pretty sure you, me, and a half-drunk fucking midget retard could come together and get a game out in the next fucking month if we really wanted to. It'd be shit, but we could do it.
well, we've created fear. We can't really call her out, or else, like I said, if we talk about this too long, we're going to go on a database.
That's right. That's right.
We're going to be quoted for everything we say here. So I mean,
Well, fuck it. I don't care.
I don't know.
The next time that I get fucking banned off of this piece of shit platform, I'm burning it the fuck down. I don't care. Let them fuck ban me. I don't give a fuck. Hey, fuck them. I've had to watch my goddamn channel die for the past 3 months. I don't give a fuck. I'll find something else. I will go somewhere else. YouTube could suck me. Bring on the goddamn SJWs. All right, everyone, Lies. I appreciate it, buddy.
all right, thank you.
Take it easy, buddy. Good shit, good shit. Let's keep going down the list. Luke the Duke. What's up, Lukey? How you doing, pal? You're welcome on with Dead on Dave. What do you got?
What's up, man? Hey, so just to touch on this Olympic sport thing you were going on.
Yeah.
I don't see why it hasn't happened already, because there's a lot of games that could be considered, very skillful, and, there's athletes in already that get paid
Right.
thousands of dollars per stream.
It hasn't happened yet because the popularity has never been more than it is right now. I don't think the popularity has quite been there yet, but it's certainly there now.
I mean, though, you would think the Olympics wouldn't get ahead of that curve, though, because it would raise up profit margin like crazy. If you get ahead of the curve, let's start popping.
It would be handing the keys of the kingdom to a whole nother generation that they're just not ready to hand the keys over to. I think it's more about that than anything else, because the violence thing is just a reason not to have a conversation to get everything started. After that, they got no other fucking excuses other than saying, well, we really don't want to legitimize something that has always been for nerds and incels and all kinds of stuff. They don't want to give that power away. They really don't. Because instantly, when it happens, it will be one of the best merch selling tools of all time. People will be wearing Olympic fucking jackets to gaming events like gangbusters, son. It will instantly become the most popular sport in the world overnight as soon as it becomes an Olympic fucking event. Esports will be fucking catapulted to a stratosphere that it's never even seen up to this point. And they're fearful of that. I believe that has more to do with anything else, more to do with it than anything else.
Yeah, man, I think it is too. I just don't see, I think it's short-sightedness that's into this. But it's them. I don't know.
They don't want to see Ninja on a fucking Wheaties box. That's if we gotta put it as simple as that. They don't want a 78-pound anorexic, fucking skinny, pale white boy on a fucking Wheaties box. That's the reality. I think that might sum it up more than anything else. And I wish that's the thumbnail I would have made. I wish I would have made. I love my thumbnail today. I think it's clever. I think it's awesome. I love my thumbnail. And I made it too. That's why it looks kind of shitty, because I made it. But I wish I would have made a giant Wheaties box with fucking Ninja on it, because that would be the most awkward looking fucking thing ever. It would be so awkward.
Could you imagine though, just having Ninja on one?
It would be great. It would be fucking, or Shroud, or anybody else. just standing on a Wheaties box, just holding up the #1 finger with an American flag draped over him. They don't want it. They don't want it. Because it's not the accepted paradigm of what they've had. Boo fucking who.
Well, it's kind of like them not legitimizing, new alternative media either, because they want to keep y'all pushed down.
Oh, yeah.
So they have the keys to the kingdom, as you said.
Exactly.
Plus, the violence thing falls apart when you look at Taekwondo, boxing, judo, jiu-jitsu. I've seen plenty of people put that in the chat already.
Sure. But they don't want to address the hypocrisy of it. They don't want to. They can't really address it. They kind of talk about it. He's like, we understand that there are events within the Olympics that have history of violence and violence itself inherently, like boxing and all of that. But they're saying there's a difference between punching somebody in the face in real life and then showing a purple character getting its head blown off on a video game. That's worse than actually physically causing damage to somebody's physical form with your motherfucking fists. That's insanity. That's insanity. That is an insane fucking phrase. What the sentence I just used, it's crazy talk. How could you possibly say that what's done in a virtual world that has no ramifications to somebody's physical well-being is somehow more dangerous than actually hitting somebody? What? But I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid. I don't know.
Maybe, man. I don't know. I do know. I remember Hitler being there at one point.
Yes.
So
the greatest moment in the history of the Olympics, when Hitler had to fucking watch Jesse Owens smoke every white boy on the track. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Amazing. All right, Lukey, you got anything else for me?
Yeah, man. So I want to touch on the Kate. I honestly think it's a scam, bro.
You think it's a scam? Why do you think it's a scam?
Because the game is too simple to make. With $87,000, even my dumb ass could put out something.
Sure, but where's the intent to deceive? Because that's what a scam is. A scam is when you intentionally take money from somebody with no intention of giving a product. The fact is, she has provided some updates. She has shown some semblance of work. She, in fact, changed the entire scope of the project halfway through. She went from a PC game to a much easier to create mobile game. And I think this is incompetence. Even though she's made games in the past, I don't know what happened here, because why the fuck in the world would somebody take... We're not talking about $8.5 million. We're talking about $85,000 to somebody who really cares about people who wanting to hear what she has to say. The equity for these fucking SJWs is their reputation. And as long as they're able to have that, they can still fucking have a career, a job. They can continue to speak. I think Anita Sarkeesian not all that long ago was still getting like 5 figures to appear at fucking public forums. And she's been fucking really run through the ringer. So I think it has more to do with that. I don't see them doing something so fucking retarded for $85,000. You're going to steal from your fan base for 85 grand? I can't get there, and I've seen no evidence to suggest that's what she did, so I can't say it's a full-on scam. But like I said, it's her actions and the words that she's used up to this point that has given people the ability to think that it's a scam, because she's deflecting. She's getting so defensive. She's saying everybody is just picking on her because she's a whammon and all of this shit. But what she did, and those are the things she's always done. She's always done this, but she doesn't realize now you're fucking with people's money and they don't want to hear that. You could do it when you're fucking with their time, but when you fuck with their money, that's a different thing altogether. They don't like that shit.
No, they don't. And I wasn't really paying attention to what she said. It's just the fact of even if you change the product, it's a mobile game, right? You change it halfway to a mobile game. Mobile games are super easy to make.
I agree.
I know there's thousands of them that pop up every day.
But that could still be written off to incompetence. That could just be written off to mismanagement. It really can. Maybe she didn't go with everything that she went with. Maybe she hired people to run this project for her and they dropped the ball and she doesn't want to throw her team under the bus. That's me giving her a built-in excuse, but it is a possibility. It's not beyond the fucking scope of imagination. You know, I don't think that's too far-fetched to say that she's simply incompetent and couldn't fucking manage the project. Shit happens. Video games get delayed all the time. You know, it's just like, so it's hard for me to definitively say it's a scope. Sid Alpha, who did one of the videos on this, did a fantastic job. You did a great video, by the way. The scope change was a year ago after the game was supposed to be delivered. Doubtful it was a scam. It was more likely her continued ineptitude and hubris coupled with professional victimhood. Perfectly fucking said, Sid Alpha. And by the way, check out Sid Alpha's video in the description box below because it really is good. It really, really is good. Thanks for showing up, man. I really appreciate that. Luke, anything else?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that when does it stop becoming incompetence and starts feeling like a Phil DeFranco situation with, hey, here's something I'm doing, but you pay money for it.
But they still haven't been able to nail Phil. Philly D is still okay because they've never been able to nail him because he delivered. He gave what he said he was going to give. It took more time than people would have liked. But Phil, and the reason why Phil was taking so much shit is the exact same reason why she's taking so much shit. Because he wasn't transparent throughout the process. And then he realized he needed to be, and he was, and then he delivered. So now he's okay. People aren't giving as much shit. This is a different thing altogether.
All right, fine.
All right, brother.
You're right.
I appreciate the call. Have yourself a fantastic evening.
You too, man.
Take it easy, bud. Alrighty, ready. We're going to try and get through these last 3 calls. Quick calls, because I'm tired. Wolf Girl, you're live with Dead on Dave. What do you got? Unmute your microphone, sweetie. Wolfie, going once. Wolfie, going twice.
Okay.
Oh, she just got under the bell, folks. What's up? What do you got for me?
Hi. So I was doing, since I missed more than half the show, I did my own little research. I showed up eventually. It's been a while, okay? And isn't pistol an Olympic sport? You know, where you shoot things?
Yeah, but they're not shooting people, honey. You know, they're not shooting people. They're shooting targets. So that you can dismiss that. I mean, just because a gun is involved doesn't necessarily, it's not the same type of violence as depicting a head exploding. At least that's what the International Committee is trying to say. But I agree with you.
Feels kind of skeptical considering that they're allowing real weapons, but digitized weapons? Nah, fam.
I think there's the greater point to be made is that there's actual force being made between fist and head every single year, you know, every 4 years in the Olympics through boxing. You know, to say that there's more damage being done, there's more worry to be had over a digital video game than people actually bludgeoning each other in the face with their fists, I think that is incredibly fucking ignorant. You know, it's craziness.
What? Also, the Olympics have stopped. I'm here.
Oh, she got in trouble. I think Wolf Girl got in trouble. I think we just heard Wolf Girl get yelled at. All right, let's get the last couple of callers in. Red Comet Man, you're live with Dead on Dave. What do you got? Red Comet Man, I want to hear from you, Red Comet Man. Going once, Red Comet Man. Going twice, Red Comet Man, you're dead to me. Red Comet Man. All right, final call of the night. Will, you're live with Dead on Dave. What do you got?
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I'm live on.
You are.
Hello.
Hello, Will. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good, David.
What do you got for me, man?
All right, so I'd like to tell you, you know, there is a big difference between real sports and esports because, you know, fucking with real sports, you could get like old dingy, old like disheveled old men. Like they just go and they go to girls, like young athletic girls, and like, hey, can I put my PP in your vagina? I'll stretch it out and make you more flexible for your gymnastics. You can't do that in a video game.
Yeah, you can.
Which brings us to the second thing.
Yeah, you
Zoe
can.
Quinn.
Yeah, you can. Because here's the thing. For anybody to compete at an international level, they have to still go through physical exams. So there's still going to have to be doctors that are on call. And as you know, look, I can stand up right now and show you all the sweat that's all over my body right now just from sitting here for the last hour and a half and streaming. You exert a lot of energy while gaming that people don't ever give credit to. So there'll have to be a doctor on staff. So don't worry. There's plenty of opportunity for buttholes and titties to be fondled.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, actually, I stand corrected. Thank you. I'm glad that there's enough rape in the gaming community.
Well, there's enough potential for rape. Okay, so I think there's still enough potential for rape. Is that all you got for me? Good one. I love it, though.
No. I'm not done.
Oh, look at you. All right, I'm excited.
There's the classic Zoe Quinn.
Yes.
Everybody's favorite.
Our favorite.
So I don't quite understand her. She has like this weird like ideology, kind of like David Katz, the Jacksonville shooting, bringing it back to video games, where like if you just shit talk her, or you just talk shit on her, or you just feed her and shit, she gets so fucking mad.
Oh yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, she's SJW, brother.
But to be fair, she is very poor. She has to go to Japan to get her anime food stamps.
That's right. She's so poor, she has to travel to one of the most expensive places to fucking travel to. You're 100%. But yeah, I didn't want to nail her on that. I really don't. The fact that she went to Japan is irrelevant to me because the money that you can't prove that the money she spent in Japan were the people that she deceived from. What I'm saying is it just doesn't look good. You can't cry poor when you're in Japan on vacation, even if you're just saying you don't have the money for the project. You took those people's money, Zoe. You took those people's fucking money, and you haven't delivered the fucking goods. So that means cancel your goddamn trip to Japan and use that money to finish the fucking game. That's what it means.
Yeah. Also, you've shown that you aren't a games journalist because you don't want to nail Zoe Quinn.
In which way, though? That's the question.
Can't be a true games journalist there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ban Jade Rabbit. She's a monster that must be slain. And goodbye.
All right, good stuff. Take it easy, Will. All right, final caller of the night. My buddy, my pal, my good friend, and the man that I wish that I'll be half the man of when I grow up, the one and only Jeff Huffman. What's up, pal?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm all right. You know, I was feeling like shit when I started, but now I'm full of piss and vinegar, and I can't believe I've sat here for an hour and 40 minutes.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. You know, it's probably just going to, like, go right back. The pain's going to come, like,
I'm going to fucking pass the fuck out as soon as I'm done. When I'm done, I'm going to die. I'm pretty sure this might be the last episode. I'm going to die on the couch as soon as I'm finished.
You know, that's pretty much how I feel like when I get home from work. So, like, I'll go lay down on my couch downstairs, and by, like, 6:30, 7 o'clock, I'm falling asleep.
Yeah, but then you get up and do 800 push-ups, and you do all those type of things. Then you go back to sleep.
Not true. I only did about 200 today.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, what do you got for me, Huffy?
Oh, I have absolutely nothing.
You cunt. I love it. You just called to say hi?
Yeah, basically.
No, wonderful. That's all good, man. I'm going to be getting out of here in a second. I'm actually glad that I get to say hello to my good buddy right before I get off of a show. Anything you want to tell the kids where they can find you? You want to rap about anything? Now's the time.
No, I'll save the diss tracks and stuff to Eminem after he just obliterates Machine Gun Kelly.
There you go. All right, man. Have a good night, Huffman.
Yeah, you too, man.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Jeff the Huff Huffman, everyone. All right. I'm tired, boys and girls, and everyone in between. I appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you for everybody who came in and supported. Thank you for those who donated. Fucking means the world. Thank you so much. Hopefully you enjoyed the beer chug. And remember, each and every single day you can find me over on Twitch for at least 2 hours, most of the time 3, playing some mostly Pokemon right now because my computer's not allowing me to do other things, excuse me. And then right here, each and every single day, Dead on Dave Live. Co-hosts are going to be returning very, very soon. Assburger, Faye, Tobes, all confirmed to return. And Jim, my good buddy from SCR, when he's ready, he'll also be returning for Nerd and the Jerk. So lots of good stuff coming. Oh, and CrimsonStudios is coming back as well. He's confirmed as well. I said it again. I don't know what to tell you. But if you need more me, if you need more Dead on Dave, well, we have a new channel, Trash or Treasure. You guys can go check it out. It's my picking channel where I go to flea markets and Goodwills and buy stuff on the cheap, look stuff up and have a good time and tell you what I did right and what I did wrong. And you guys can check that out, sub to it. We're almost at 100 subs, and I really do appreciate you guys on the support on that. But that's not the only place, because I'm back in the podcast game with my aforementioned brethren over at Soul Crushing Radio, where they've been doing a lot of great podcasting, and now I am a full-on member, baby, and we got all kinds of cool stuff, and you can find them everywhere. Look at all these episodes that you can go ahead and check out with Service Your Cervix, Butt Fumble, the musical. I mean, it's all there. You guys should check it. And those are just the old episodes. We got new episodes, new fire for all your faces. Go check it out. Soul Crushing Radio, wherever podcasts are consumed. Thank you guys for being here. Greatly appreciate it. Now let's give some love to those patrons, the ones who constantly, always help out. Thank you very much, everybody. Keep it copious, folks. And remember, as always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends. And peace.